Hello and welcome back to the Nine Sports Podcast. My name is Kathleen, and I host the weekly soccer edition of our show. I wanted to start this episode by wishing a very happy 1 month anniversary to my editors Abigail Siegel and Julie Schreiber, who signed on to start the Nine Soccer with me. And I want to thank all of our readers who have followed us over there and joined us for this exciting new journey. Starting our own women's soccer platform has been a dream of mine, as Howard and I kind of discussed on that launch episode. It is such a special sport and such a special community that, I really think it deserves this coverage. It deserves daily attention and a budget behind it and some people who are really passionate about the work. And I am so proud to say that I have definitely found those people in Abigail and Julie. With their help, plus the veteran leadership of Annie Peterson, who writes Soccer Monday over at the Nine Sports, and then founder of the Nine, Howard Magdahl, I, again, think we're just building something really special, and we are thrilled to have you along for the ride. I also want to shout out Kat Bush, who wrote an article for us last week on the importance of data accessibility in coverage of women's soccer and why FBref losing its Opta feed is such a disappointing blow for fans and reporters. That's been big news, especially for those in the industry. But as NWSL season gets ready to start, you will notice there is a lot of data missing now, a lot of that predictive data, especially expected goals, expected assists, those kind of numbers. And it's a sad day, especially when you have FBref and some really phenomenal people over there who have really put a lot of work into expanding their access the last few years in women's soccer and women's basketball. And even on the baseball side, they're doing really incredible work integrating Negro League stats and just making a lot of those, I'm going to say, underappreciated sports more accessible, more data-driven, and giving us the ability to just look back on such special accomplishments that we haven't really had a way to compare to the same way as we have, great football players, great baseball players since the start of MLB. So definitely go back and read that one. She has done a lot of phenomenal work on the stats side. She made some really cool charts explaining exactly what we mean. And I think you'll learn a lot from her. We were so excited to bring her on for that piece. Annie also wrote a great one about Barbara Banda and her journey back to the pitch after that hip injury ended her 2025 campaign early. And I just think that everything we can do here to make a sustainable model, something that's fan driven, that really, I think everything we can do to build a sustainable model here that is telling the stories you want to read, the stories that we think need to be told, is just such an important mission, especially in 2026, as we're seeing a lot of independent media struggling, and even our biggest sports media sources struggling at this time. And I'm just so lucky to have that community here at the Nine. So again, thank you for reading. You can find all of our work at the9sports.com, THEIXSPORTS.com, under the soccer category. Our top story of the week, or number one at the Nine, is about Mallory Swanson's return post-baby. Annie helped preview that a little bit in our conversation last week, which you should definitely go back and listen to if you missed it. Annie is just so much fun to have on the podcast, and she brings such a great veteran perspective to her coverage. And so we were so lucky to have her grab a couple clips for us from media days. And that's where this conversation happened. She had the opportunity to talk to Mal about adjusting to life with baby Josie, working with their sporting and performance team to prepare for her return. and also the importance for her of not rushing the process. She's really enjoying being a new mom. She has definitely already taken kind of a different approach to watching the games. It's a different feeling there, which I cannot imagine, but um, so excited to get a little bit of a sneak peek kind of into her mentality this off season as we get ready to welcome several players back from maternity leave this year. One of my favorite parts of the interview, which Annie shared in like a Q&A format, was when she talked about connecting with other teammates about navigating pregnancy. And I've said it before, but I think it says so much about this league and where it is right now. That first, players are able to make these big life choices for themselves and not only come back to compete, but do really incredible things. And I'm so glad that she has some other resources she can talk to. She obviously also has Sophia Wilson going through this process a couple months ahead of her and getting ready to make her big return. But so many national team players, so many of those really decorated NWSL players that are, enjoying this autonomy that we've been able to give them. And obviously, this is a perfect time, right, between some competition cycles. But it's just incredible watching these women do everything they're doing. And I also think that the support of the U.S. women's national team coach, Emma Hayes, has been a huge piece of that as well. Mal said in this piece that Emma was really supportive and really excited when she told her she was pregnant, and also told her that her view of the game would change. It will change when you're a mother. It will change when you're responsible for another tiny human. And it will also change just with the time away. But it sounds like she has some great support around her and is, getting that opportunity to come back and play and hopefully just really amaze us. You can find that article on the9sports.com, and it is well worth it, even just for the pictures of Mal, Trinity Rodman, and Sophia Wilson reuniting. And I think we're all looking forward to the day that we get them back on the national team playing together. We haven't written much about Denver Summit FC yet, but I was really excited to see they've already sold 40,000 tickets for their first home game. Assuming that holds, that will break the record for the league's single match attendance. And that's even before adding their marquee signing in U.S. captain Lindsay Heaps, who is finishing her season in France and will join the team later this season. That game is going to be on March 28th at Empower Field at Mile High. That is home to the NFL's Denver Broncos, if that sounds familiar. And then the Summit will face the Washington Spirit in that one. So exciting to also see the Washington Spirit and see kind of where they've landed with their new signings coming off of those back-to-back semifinal appearances. Denver is going to play most of its home games at a temporary venue in Centennial this year. But I really like the idea of putting that home opener in an NFL stadium to really draw attention to the team, give them that opportunity to play in front of a ton of people in that first game, and really just make this a celebration for the city and for the market. I think that is so important as we kind of test these new expansion teams. And I think that also the PWHL, that's the Professional Women's Hockey League, their takeover series, I think, has been such an important test case for women's sports and expansion. They've been going into different markets where they don't traditionally play, setting up matchups, and playing at these NHL arenas and drawing huge crowds. And there's definitely a little bit of an element of, if you build it, they will come. But at the same time, I think it's just proving that there are fans in these markets and there are a lot of people willing to cross over with, I watch the men's team at the stadium all the time. I might as well come and watch the women's team, and then getting really excited and really invested. And a special shout out to Heated Rivalry as well, making hockey all sexy and exciting again. Um, but back to soccer, I mean, we see Boston's doing something similar. They're playing a bunch of their games at Gillette Stadium this year, home of the Patriots. But this is going to be just such a fascinating year from a venue and a fan experience angle, especially. Looking at you, Seattle, and stay tuned for a story about their odd arrangement, hopefully coming later this week or early next week. But between World Cup preparations and the expansion teams and um, whatever is going on with White Stadium out in Boston, you know, we're just at such an interesting kind of crux in this league where we have, half of the teams building these really impressive stadiums and really investing, and then half of these teams kind of struggling to find their right location. And I just think it's going to be a really big storyline to watch this year. Another thing I'm really looking forward to this week is the start of the UWCL playoffs. Defending champion Arsenal and newcomer OH Leuven will kick off the games tomorrow at noon ET. Then we will see, I don't know why I said ET. It's Eastern time, but I also love that silly little alien. Then we'll see Paris FC and Real Madrid, Wolfsburg and Juventus, then Atletico Madrid and Manchester United. Those 8 teams will meet again next week in the second leg of this round of 16. Then winners will advance to face Lyon, Barcelona, Bayern, or Chelsea in the quarterfinals. You can look for those in late March, starting March 24th. And then the second leg there will be played in early April. That is it for today's episode. As always, I would love to hear from you about what you want to see on the show, who you want to read at the Nine Soccer, and what stories you think we should be covering. Thank you for listening, and make sure to tune in to Women's Sports Daily as well for your 5-minute roundup of the latest headlines in women's sports. As the name suggests, that airs every weekday on its own feed. Just search Women's Sports Daily on your favorite app and subscribe today. I will see you guys next week.